Welcome to Modern Home Masterminds with Bespoke Brokers. I'm Shawna, Glazier, designated broker and owner.
And I'm Brittainy Williamson, associate broker at Bespoke Real Estate. Shawna and I are Bespoke Real Estate, and we're also your guides to modern luxury across the state of Arizona.
Each week, we chat with masterminds creating modern spaces. Do you want to get a behind-the-scenes look at your design build team's processes? Open communication and teamwork will lead to a successful project.
From architects to builders, designers, and more, let's explore the art of modern living together.
All right. Welcome back, listeners. Do you want to meet a real-life unicorn? Well, today we have Heather Lennon here, and she is that unicorn.
Yes. And I am going to read Heather's bio, if that's okay,
Sure.
Because I don't want to miss anything. She is like Renaissance woman.
Yes.
So Heather Lennon is the founder and CEO of Imagine General Contracting and Development, a minority-owned full-service design build firm with a niche in retail spaces, historic building restoration, and adaptive reuse. With over 26 years of expertise, she holds commercial and residential general contracting licenses and a master's degree focused on retail, store design, and consumer behavior. She also founded and leads Imagine Develops, LLC, a real estate development firm, and partners in Arizona Warehouse Holdings with Gold Hat Realty, LLC, focusing on downtown Phoenix with the mission to save Phoenix's history one old building at a time, which we love. Her cigar passion led to the founding of Racontus Cigars, a boutique retailer offering elevated cigar experiences. In 2 years as a cigar philanthropist, she has donated cigar experiences that have raised over $150,000 for charity. That's very cool. Appointed by Mayor Gallego, Lennon serves as chairperson of Phoenix's Tourism and Hospitality Board. She sits on the boards of the Black Chamber of Arizona, Phoenix Community Alliance, and the Phoenix Art Museum. Heather takes part in roundtable discussions guiding Governor Hobbs' agenda on entrepreneurship and small businesses. She garnered top 5 finalists at the 2023 Red Real Estate Development Awards, 2023's Dress for Success Women of Impact honoree, and received Phoenix Community Alliance's Center City Newcomer Award.
Whoa.
That's a lot.
Wow. Okay. So Heather, you really are a unicorn. Do we need to keep going? Or is that?
I feel performance anxiety listening to that, though.
I mean,
that's the condensed bio.
Yeah, no, that is, I mean, we love seeing strong women succeeding in male-dominated fields.
Sure.
You currently own multiple businesses that are working in what's well-known, these boy clubs. Love if you could share with our listeners a little bit about your story about how you got into development and contracting and what it means for you to show up and be successful in these spaces and other spaces that are male-dominated, like your cigar business.
Sure. I never had the intention of starting to work in male-dominated fields, but that just what has happened in my life, and I function really well in those spaces. So I just keep my head down and I work hard. I am lucky enough to come from a family legacy of entrepreneurship. So that was modeled for me. I mean, everyone that I'm related to for many generations has worked for themselves. So that's something that, when I was a kid at the dinner table, those are the conversations that I overheard. And, I was the kid, in a retail store playing in the back. And in high school, I worked at one of my parents' businesses. And so it came very naturally to me. I knew I was going to work for myself. I just didn't know in what capacity. So I went to the U of A, and I did a master's degree that focused on retail store design and consumer behavior. And then I came up to Phoenix, worked for a really successful entrepreneur for a few years, and then, because I was then in my mid-20s and knew everything, I decided to quit my job and start businesses. So I did. So I started a design firm, mostly focusing on retail with like a smattering of residential, and then as that progressed, people started asking me to do more and more. So I got my residential commercial GC's license, and I just kept my head down and worked on construction sites for 20 years, and lots of interesting stories about that.
I'm sure.
And then I kind of raised my head up and said that, I want to start doing things on things that I own. So I created a partnership, and that's AWH. And we purchased some amazing pieces of land and buildings downtown that are now all successfully adaptively reused and functioning and have created jobs, which I love I'm very, very grateful to be able to create things that create jobs. That's like just the most fulfilling thing for me. I love being able to do that. So I started, a development firm, and then I started a second development firm, and I have some other businesses, one of which is my cigar business. And I say I don't have passion projects because I have to revenue generate, but I do have purpose projects. And one of the purposes of Raconteuse is to give back. So yeah, we're really grateful to have something that people really value, and we love, giving back and being of assist. And yeah, we've raised over $150,000. We're in our third year now.
Wow,
that's amazing.
Wow.
So, I want to know a little bit more about your general contracting and what that was like for you, being on a construction site as a female. There's not many. You told us a story on our phone call about how the statistics say that there are 10% of women in that industry that are actually the qualified, person, but that may not be true.
Well, I think that statistically it probably is, but that has not been my experience. I know a few other female general contractors, and they're very good at what they do. I don't know any women that are developers and general contractors, and that has to change.
Sure.
I mean, it's really that is part of what motivates me, and to have willingness to speak. I've had an opportunity to go to quite a few of the colleges here in town and speak. We are, actively pursue internship programs, and I think that it just is not on the radar for women, and it needs to be. So growing up in that industry, which pretty much is what I did, there were so many years where, every time a new inspector would come on to the site, they would always go to the oldest white guy in the room and ask if they were the general. And usually it was like, no, it's that curly-haired lady pushing the broom. Because, usually the general is the one who cares about how the site looks.
Yeah.
But and I remember so many years of going to trade shows where it was me and just a smattering of other women, and then the spokesmodels. And you get a lot of naysayers, but then once you speak and people understand that you know what you're talking about, I've not ever had, my being a woman, my being Jewish, my being brown has never been an impedance to my success. But that is not most women's stories. So, I'm grateful to be able to say that.
So what do you think it is that's keeping women from getting in that space?
I don't know.
Is it the obvious?
Yeah, I think it's like cultural bias. I think it's just what, male and female traditional roles have been in the past. The story that I recounted was I was the keynote speaker for the Better Business Bureau of the Southwest. They had their 7th annual Industrious Women's Summit. And statistics say that about 10% of all GCs in the country are women. So I asked the group of women there, how many people, if you're the QP, the qualified party for as a GC, if you're a developer, if you're a specialty contractor with a license, stand up. And I said, let's test the statistics. And I waited, and no one stood up. There was not a single woman in that room that was a general contractor. And that was AEC Industries, architecture, engineering, construction. That's what those women do for a living. Yeah. So that was shocking to me, but just reiterates what I've seen, that it's just not on women's radar. But, the more that we're out there, the more that people just see what it is that I'm doing, perhaps it can open up their eyes. I have an 18-year-old daughter, and she knows she can be whatever she wants to be when she grows up. But again, that's not most 18-year-old women's story. So it's just important to be visible.
So you've been modeling that for her.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think it's so important like you had that model growing up.
Absolutely.
So for her to have that.
And I think it's much more difficult to be a strong woman if you don't come from strong women. And I'm very happy to say I come from a really strong stock.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm happy to pass along those superpowers to my
Well, it's
daughter.
interesting too, because as a general contractor, you have to be able to multitask.
Oh, absolutely.
And women are typically so good, better than men, in my experience, at multitasking.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, just keeping your head down and learning, there is no way to gain expertise other than through. There is not a shortcut. So, now, I am an expert in my field. And I have evolved what it is that I do. And I specifically now focus on adaptive reuse of old and historic buildings into retail. And I say all the time that I love creating things that create jobs, and that I am trying to save the history of Phoenix one old building at a time. I am, I have great partners in the city that I work with that are very much in alignment with what we're trying to do. And we've got lots of amazing projects going and amazing things that we've been a part of already. So, we're really happy to be able to use my nuanced skill set to do something like that. It's really fulfilling.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think we're going to ask the same thing. Would love just for you to elaborate on some of your projects, and our listeners, we're going to be playing a slideshow on the projects that you're working on and have completed. And
Sure. I mean, we've done a lot of different things. A couple of them, one that is very near to us right now is Merriman's Funeral Home. So Merriman's Funeral Home, over 100 years old. It was one of the first funeral homes here in Phoenix. And most people do not know that building was owned and run by a woman. Oh. Isn't that interesting? It started out as a family business. Her husband passed away, and she was able to grow the business and build that building. And my client, who's the owner of the building, brought me on, and it took about 2 years. And it was in the middle of COVID that we were working. But we were able to do an adaptive reuse and make an amazing space even better, and kind of get rid of the bad decisions and allow the building to speak. And it became Sin Muerte, and now it's Hugo's, which we love. And Hugo's has also been kind enough when we donate cigar packages. They're one of the people we tap, and they come and help and donate as well. So yeah, that's a really, really cool one. And it's adaptive reuse is a catalyst for change, especially when you're going into marginalized neighborhoods. And it's also an invitation for others to join you. So Arizona Warehouse Holdings, one of our first purchases was a building that's now our event venue. It's called Warehouse 215. And now directly across the street from us is, thank you, Matt Ishbia, and welcome to the neighborhood, the Suns and Mercury headquarters there, and the Mercury practice facility. It's an amazing, amazing building. And they had a $108 million budget. So we were thrilled to have them in the neighborhood, and that is just another example of how that process is a catalyst for change.
It just spreads.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's cool to see in the time, because I'm not a native Phoenician. I grew up in Arkansas and moved here in 2003. And it's amazing to see the change that has happened just since.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not a native either. And so, but that change, being here for enough time, it's really cool to see how we're evolving. And we are, and we are the fastest growing city in the nation. And we have people at the city that are being very careful with how we are curating that. And I think it's really important as a developer to not be tone deaf about what it is that you're doing, to understand your neighborhood, your audience, what the needs of that community are, and endeavor to meet them. So, it's a really cool thing to be able to do.
Well, we'll have to go tour the warehouse, go to an event.
Yeah.
Do
We
they
have
have a calendar online, or?
Oh, they do. They have in being a creative person, in order to create again, you have to release what you've created. So I don't get involved at all in any of the businesses inside the buildings. I focus on the buildings. We have another building that we actually just turned over. It's now fully occupied. And our tenant is M Culinary, amazing caterers, largest caterer in the Southwest. And we're thrilled to, they partnered with us, and we got to build Phoenix's very first kosher catering kitchen. So it's permanently kosher catering kitchen, and they'll be our tenants for the next 10 years, and it's up and running. So we're thrilled to be able to add some equity, into the market. And the city's really excited as well. So we're happy to have that to serve downtown and elsewhere.
And a little nod to your Jewish heritage.
Yes. I mean, I am not kosher, but I know that there's a lot of inequity, and it's a great need, and it's M Culinary's kitchen to utilize, but they're happy to partner with whomever needs those services, so that we can, as a city, provide more. So I think that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can imagine,
Yeah. We're doing another one. Let's see. We're doing an adaptive reuse of the former Cartwright Steakhouse in Cave Creek.
Oh,
so
nice.
That's a really fun one.
There?
I have.
It's like the 80s once they're building back.
Yeah.
but we're really excited
people were
to evolve
upset
that.
about it
Yes.
going away, about it closing.
Well,
it was a
hold
big
on
deal.
to your horses. So we have an amazing concept that's going in with our client. The tenant has a lot of proof of practice. They have another great endeavor that they've done really successfully. So we're looking forward to doing that. We're also doing an adaptive reuse of the former U.S. Bank branch on First Avenue in Monroe. That has, it's at this point blight. It has been sitting there for too long. And as some people know, the Hotel San Carlos was sold, and they're going to be doing a renovation. And we're really excited that someone's going to come in and do justice to that amazing old hotel.
Yes.
But in turn, their tenants are losing their spaces. So one of their tenants is Centrico, and it's a great local Mexican restaurant, wonderful following. They're in their 7th year, but they're in a really, really small space, and they've done a lot with that, but it's limiting. So, for us to be able to move them into a new space allows them to become what it is they're trying to be, because now they're going to have a kitchen that's large enough to cater. And now they're going to have a room for private dining and for tastings. And they're going to have a wall with 500 bottles of what they're known for, mezcal and tequila and, other spirits from Mexico. And they're going to have almost 100 seats outside on a patio and almost 100 seats inside. So, being able to do things like that.
So where do they go during the construction?
Well, they're still in their current location, which is literally like catty corner to where we will be. So they're still able to occupy that space, and we're as quickly as possible evolving that so they can get in there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so we're excited about those kinds. And we've got a lot of other little things that we're planning and doing. We're going to be remodeling Phoenix Community Alliance's offices, which they are growing and expanding, so we're happy to be able to do that. And some other things we're not allowed to talk about.
That's all right.
But yeah, we've got our hands in a lot of things.
During our pre-show call, we talked a little bit about like your mission and your desire to give back to the community. And you've mentioned a little bit on this before, but I think maybe diving into more of that and how you've been able to give back to the community and how you stay involved that way.
Sure. I mean, I think it's really important to be able to think outside yourself. And that's something that I am mission focused. I am not money focused, and that I'm grateful to be able to be in that space. When I was remodeling Warehouse 215, I called Maricopa County Health Services to see if they needed a space for COVID vaccines, because it was the end of COVID that we were doing that. And they didn't, but they contacted me a few months later, and they were having trouble finding a location for a monkeypox event because people have bias. And I'm thrilled to say that we vaccinated over 5,000 Phoenicians in that building. So, what a great thing to be able to use that building for something like that.
It's fantastic.
And then, like with our cigar business, as I said, it's very purpose driven, and we curate and donate cigar experiences for charity. We just did one for Amanda's Hope, which is an amazing charity. If people don't know, they should definitely look it up. We support Dress for Success Phoenix. We support Greater Scottsdale Boys and Girls Club, Gateway School, the Irish Cultural Center. So, we love partnering with charities and, being able to be of service. It's great to have something that people want, to donate in order to be able to do. It's really cool to see
that cigar experience, you were telling us about it, came out of an idea of somebody just asking you to donate cigars. And it shows how much you think out of the box by what you came up with. Can you explain to our listeners what the cigar experience is?
Oh, sure. So, we do a few different ones. We do tasting and pairings where our friends who own Carefree Spirits and our friends who own Arizona Stronghold Wine will join us, and we do, it's called a Cigar Curious Workshop. So we tell people all of the things about a cigar, whether you're a novice or you're, a seasoned smoker. And it's really fun. We do that to the level of expertise of the people joining us, and they do tastings and pairings, with the amazing wines and amazing spirits. We also do twice a year. We donate one to Dress for Success and one to Boys and Girls Club, and that's like a full experience where we do food and we do drinks and we do music. And this year we had a portraiture artist come and take portraits of people smoking their cigars. It's very, very cool.
And those have garnered
Yes.
tens of thousands of dollars at auction, right?
Yes, we did one for Dress for Success, and there was a bidding war, and we ended up agreeing to do 3 of them, and Dress for Success made $40,000 and gave 100 women scholarships. Isn't that cool?
Yes.
So yeah, more of that.
Yes.
So yeah, that absolutely solidifies the need for us to continue doing that.
We need more women like you that are uplifting other women.
I mean, as it should be, right? Yeah. I mean, we rise together. We should be done with the competitive nature amongst women. I want all my people to be great. Right?
Oh, yes, you couldn't have said that better.
Yes, I agree. And there's room for that, too.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
all right, Heather, we're at a point in our show we like to do a little rapid fire. Just ask you a couple quick questions.
All right.
Excuse me, are you up for that?
Sure.
All right. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Oh, no, definitely not mornings. Now, I will say not mornings, but I am regularly up very early because as the owner of a construction company, sometimes we're working at 4 or 5 in the morning, but it always hurts. So I definitely am a night person.
Yeah.
what is your favorite restaurant?
Oh, wow. I have a few, but one of them is owned by friends of mine. It's called the McBrasserie, and we've done donations with them as well, and we're looking for a space to open another concept with them downtown. So they're in McCormick Ranch, and Brent Menke and John Krause own it. Brent has an amazing story. It's casual French, and it's the most wonderful food you could ever have. And it's also, for me, really, really interesting because of the type of kitchen that they have. Brent cut his teeth on very, very high-end yachts, cooking for like the Sultan of Brunei, and you can imagine other oligarchs, and really, really kind of a very interesting way to learn your craft. And if you think about being on a yacht, there's no gas and there's very limited space. So he has perfected a sous vide kitchen, and what he churns out of that is unbelievable. So for me as a builder, seeing that, that is a clean kitchen. People, when they're done working, it's literally a more pleasant space to work in. There's no grease trap. There is no ventilation system. So it's really, really, they have really perfected that. And to see, like I said, the amazing food that comes out of it. And they have
right?
They have a phenomenal wine selection as well. If you're a
go.
wine drinker.
Say the name again?
The McBrasserie.
McBrasserie.
So,
I don't think I've ever been,
hi,
but it's
gentlemen.
in our neck of the woods. So
Yeah, they're great. So sorry, not sorry.
That's going to be the next dinner we have.
Yes, for sure. And I think I know the answer to this one, but so do you smoke cigars also?
I do. I do. That is definitely my chosen vice.
How long, how did that start?
My husband and I actually don't remember why we started, but I remember when we started.
Yeah.
And we befriended a man who, his name's Vartan Safiri, and he's still here locally. He's kind of a godfather of cigars now here in Phoenix. He owns Ambassador Cigars. So we happened upon him, and we started smoking, and we enjoyed that together, and we learned a lot, and he was very gracious. And I found that the cigar community was a really, really interesting community. And it's really welcoming, and it's now going into business in that after 25 some odd years of smoking, it's the same in the industry. People are willing to kind of give of their expertise and what they have learned, and be of assistance and be kind of collaborative in things. And that's such a cool, that's not the way most of my other businesses are.
No.
So in contrast, we love that. And I don't, anyone that says they don't have vices, I don't trust. So you got to have at least one chosen vice.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Mine is Prosecco and cheap Prosecco and tequila.
I get it.
So what do you do when you're not working?
Well, I certainly spend time with my family. We have 2 English bulldogs that we love. I certainly spend time relaxing with my friends and smoking cigars. I love live music. I love live basketball. Go Suns.
Yes.
We have season tickets to the Suns, so get to see a lot of great basketball.
Fun.
Travel.
Hence the purple hair. You're a big fan.
Actually, that was a side note, but sure.
Yeah.
People think that that's for the
You're that
Suns,
big a
and I'm
fan.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay, if you could go back to your 8-year-old self, what's one piece of advice you'd give her?
Well, I think that, I don't know if I could understand that at 8, but I remember when I was out of graduate school a few years and contemplating quitting my job and starting something from scratch. And, I really just talked to myself and said, there is nothing that someone else possesses that I don't that would make them successful and not me. I just have to make the decision to be successful, and I have to accept the role of visionary. And I did. And I gave myself a goal of replacing my salary within a year, right? I thought that was a really good goal. And I had, I was with my husband already. We've been together since I'm 19. So, we pretty much grew up together. Mm-hmm. So I had that goal, and I replaced my salary in 3 months.
Wow.
So,
That's
just
awesome.
never looked back.
When I got into real estate, I did the same thing.
Yeah.
So I had a very similar goal.
That's awesome.
And so mindset is so important.
It really is. It really is. And I think, I sit in the grateful space being able to say that, mm-hmm. having gone to college and have family modeling and an intact family and graduate school and, a partner who was supportive. So all of those things come into play. But it's great to be able to be in that space.
Yeah, having the team around you to have the vision or be able to act on the vision
mm-hmm.
and the attitude of that vision is important. So
Mm-hmm.
thank
Mm-hmm.
you.
For sure.
Thank you, Helen,
mm-hmm.
from our own perspective.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I think, I look forward to hearing more about what you ladies are doing. I see other unicorns in the room right here. So we're happy to get to know you guys a bit. And I think that we have a lot of symbiotic beliefs.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing with us and our listeners. This has been so insightful, and you definitely are a unicorn, and we are so happy to have met you, and we can't wait to get to know you better. Sure. We're going to link all of your information in our show notes, all of your contact information, but if you want to tell our listeners the best place to find you.
Sure. raconteuscigars.com, imaginedevelops.com. You can stalk me on LinkedIn. So it's a good place to find out what cool things we're working on.
All right. Well, that's it for today's episode of Modern Home Masterminds. If you've enjoyed our show, please subscribe, rate, and leave us a review.
Well, thanks to our guest for sharing her insights.
Hi, everybody.
Yes. And thank you, our listeners, for learning about everything modern with us.
If you are ready to take the next step in your real estate journey, please reach out to us at Bespoke Real Estate. And until next time, keep living, loving everything modern.